The other major kaupapa, of course, this week was the Waitangi Tribunal ruling that the government owes the Kōhanga Reo movement an apology. Well, joining us now from our Wellington studio is the co-chair of the Kōhanga Reo National Trust, Tina Olsen-Ratana. Kia ora, Tina. Thank you so much for joining us. What's the most important part of the Tribunal's findings for you?
Well, the most important part is that it reaffirms the kaupapa of Kōhanga Reo. For the last 20-odd years, we've been fighting the bureaucracy of government and the mainstream discriminatory way that these policies have affected kōhanga, in effect, has put our kaupapa at huge risk. So what the report does show is the discriminatory nature that Kōhanga Reo have had to work under for the last 20 years. It hasn't been our imagination. And so it actually gives a way forward as well.
OK, do you want an apology? The Tribunal suggests that an apology is required by the government. Is that what you want?
Absolutely. Absolutely, we want an apology. It's a good place to start.
Can you see it happening?
We're very optimistic about...
So the trick is going to be getting Māori parents to bring their kids back to kōhanga, isn't it? How are you going to achieve that? How do you see that being achieved? Well,
firstly, it's about how Kōhanga Reo has been promoted. One of the things that has happened is that there's been a intentional targeting of getting Māori children into ECE. And there's been a lack of information given to parents about the benefits of Kōhanga Reo, both in terms of reo revitalisation and as well as in terms of education.
So you think there's been a sustained, and of course you've been supported by the Tribunal undermining, I guess, of kōhanga. But is it just about the government needing to take action? How much of this is about the Kōhanga Reo movement itself taking responsibility here?
Well, the first place that we need to start is to put it in the right place. I mean, Kōhanga Reo are not early childcare. They are an Indigenous model, a grassroots model, based on Te Reo and supporting whānau. The problem we have here is that they've been forced into a different cultural framework that's been developed and designed not for one that supports Kōhanga Reo. And I need to be rescuing this language. It's at major risk here. Okay. And we have to do something about it. OK, I appreciate your time. That's Tina Olsen-Ratana there.
Let's go back to our panel now and have a wee chat about the kōhanga's issues. Donna, what do you see as the likelihood of an apology from the government?
Well, I think it's high. They should. It's straightforward. The more important thing is to properly fund them.
Yeah.
Put the apology on a cheque.
So step one, put the apology on a cheque. Nice. Yeah. Step one is what, Miriama?
Well, I mean, I think the Tribunal's producing some really good decisions. That we saw one in the case of fresh water, but you're hamstrung by trying to criticise the Crown, who provides you the funding. And I think that's what actually these cases have in common. We have a Crown which consistently fails to protect our rights. And that's the difficulty that we have, why we want to talk about constitutional change as well. But when we have a Prime Minister who's willing to mislead the public, as he has quite clearly done in the case of fresh water, you know, I think we can kind of dash our own hopes around the kōhanga.
So you don't have much faith, much hope that there'll be action out of this report?
Well, I guess it depends in part on what Hekia's going to do in her position. But yeah, I mean, I think we've consistently seen governments, you know, not look at tribunal, not adhere to.
What's interesting is because the Y262 report on Reo, I wonder what action has come of that. Willie, what's your feeling? Will we see some action on that? Will we see some action on the kōhanga's concerns?
There's probably not a lot of, you know, I wouldn't trust that the government would come to the party on this. We only have to look back a few years. Taranaki report, there was no apology. Foreshore and seabed, there was no response in terms of the Waitangi Tribunal recommendations. Water, no action again in terms, well, they've gone through a sham consultation process in terms of the Waitangi Tribunal, but initially, John Key, very, very disrespectful to the tribunal, so I wouldn't hold my hopes out for the kōhanga. So, you know, but this tribunal plays a vital part in terms of New Zealand democracy, but it is hamstrung by being a recommendation body and also being, I suppose, an agent of the Crown.